that America will become a land sharing the fruits of the land, not for the favored few, not to satisfy greed, but that all may live in a land in which the Lord has provided an abundance sufficient for the luxury and convenience of the people in general, I think.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm the ghost of Smedley Butler, and I'm here with the ghost of Judge James Horton. How you doing, Judge?
I'm good, General. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. My apologies for not getting our podcasts out. I've been hit with the crud that's been going around Birmingham lately. I think everyone's had to deal with that.
Well, there was the crud, there was Christmas, there was a New Year, and then there's back to work. So I think you can be forgiven just this once.
One time and one time only, Judge. So, what's happening in the news is we've got a really spicy Secretary of Defense hearing. We're talking about Pete Hegseth?
I think Hegseth, maybe?
Hegseth?
Look that up and let's get our pronunciation right so we're not jumping all over the place.
Hegseth.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
Hegseth.
You want to give us the background on old Mr. Hegseth, or do you want me to?
I know he's a Princeton guy, and he is
a ivory tower Ivy Leaguer?
Yeah.
Gasp.
Yeah, he's an elite.
Yeah, can't have any of those over there.
But he was served in the military. He was a National Guardsman.
He's a nasty girl.
He did go to Iraq and Afghanistan. I think he also did some stuff at Guantanamo Bay.
He rose to the rank of captain. I think was as high as he got.
Was captain? Okay.
But that was it, really. Weekend warrior, National Guard type. Gets out of that. He ran for Senate in Minnesota and lost. And that would have been his only experience in politics, is that failed Senate campaign.
I remember he also did some Veterans Affairs. Like he worked as the executive director for Vets for Freedom and the Concerned Veterans for America.
Vets for Freedom.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pack.
I don't know. Like, if you want to go cookie cutter name for at least do like
insert name for freedom.
Yeah. But he 2016 he came out as a hardcore supporter of Donald Trump's presidential campaign, and I think he got on Fox because of that. And he's been kind of riding the media wave since then.
Yeah, he's been a Fox News host.
Yeah,
he's been an anchor.
And there's been some allegations, and there's also been some actual, instances of. He's been divorced, 3 times?
A few times.
I think he's on his 4th wife now.
His mama had something to say about that.
Yeah, she was not happy. What did she say? She said, she
basically told him she was ashamed of him for how he treats women. Oof. And that she doesn't blame the wife for leaving. Yeah. It was in an email that got leaked to the public.
But he's cheated on every wife he's had, right?
Listen, these powerful men, they just grab him by the pussy sometimes. They'll
let you do it.
They can't help it, General. Yeah. They can't help it. It's a magnet.
But then there's also allegations of alcoholism and, just kind of a shady work environment and whatnot. I don't know why President-elect Trump is, I guess because of loyalty, he's pushing him for Secretary of Defense. But things are getting shaky in the world right now. We don't need somebody that drinks that much, not on top of their game. So I'm a little concerned about that. And also, I get going outside of the norms and whatnot, but
to that end, there, you said it yourself. He's a Trump loyalist, going all the way back to 2016. But there's a bunch of those. There, you can't throw a rock without hitting one. So there clearly would have been Trump loyalists more qualified for the job with more administrative experience. At least that were career military in a way that this guy wasn't. That would have done the job. Say what you will about Trump's first cabinet appointments from the first administration, they were qualified.
They were until they weren't, and then
right.
he fired
they initially
everybody.
Were qualified.
His first cabinet in his 2016 term was qualified, and then he burned through them like a hot knife through butter. I think that was one of the greatest turnovers in a presidential candidate in U.S. history.
It's unparalleled.
It's number one.
Yeah. It's not even close. That's completely unprecedented.
Like it takes a year just for you to understand what the job is.
But we have Hegseth, who has really never ran anything with no administrative experience, no governmental experience. And we're going to put that man in charge of what is probably one of the handful of largest bureaucratic departments on the planet, the U.S. Department of Defense.
There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of money there.
So much money there. So this gentleman that Trump is putting in front of the largest defense force the world's ever seen, or at least the most capable. This back in 2018, this is what Pete Hegseth's mother wrote about him and his character. She said, quote, "On behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say get some help and take an honest look at yourself." She stated that she still loved him. She goes on to also write, "I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but that's the sad truth."
That's pretty brutal right there if your mom comes down on you that hard.
That's tough. I also don't want to be a hypocrite because I've said for years and years and years, I don't necessarily care that you're a great person in your personal life. And obviously there's a line. If he's a serial cheater, that's one thing, as far as qualifying you for the job. But if he's a serial abuser, that's something different.
Yeah, that's a whole different. I mean, you're putting him in charge of, hundreds of thousands of people,
many women.
Yeah, and I want to say there's also, it wasn't him, but his friend got convicted of sexually assaulting a woman while they went to a strip club on a business retreat. Like, he's got all these skeletons, and they're not real skeletons in the closet; they're out in the open, and it's just, it doesn't feel like a good. I believe in good people, and I want this movement to have good people. He doesn't feel like good people to me.
I think it's pretty clear he's not, just based on listen to what the guy's mom says about him.
I'm fine. You can go out and be a womanizer, but just be a little respectful about it. Don't be an asshole. Don't lie to women. Don't abuse women.
Well,
and you can go out and you can have a drink. I'm not opposed to that either. Lord knows you and I, dabble in that territory.
I've never drank in my life.
But to do it to such an excess and to be so brazen about it, and honestly not even self-reflective about how destructive it could be, with the drinking and the women and all that.
So if you have two equally qualified candidates, go with the one that's not the raging alcoholic who's a womanizer and potential likely serial abuser. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about here. We don't have two equally qualified candidates and let's go with the one that's not an abuser. Here we have a talk show host who's not qualified by anyone's measures taking this post, who, by the way, is definitively a serial cheater, a liar, according to his mother, and who has major allegations of sexual or emotional abuse leveled at him. So that unqualified candidate is the one that we've tapped. You had Colin Powell, who also, he cheated on a bunch of his wives. All right, the guy's hella qualified. Sure, I don't want him marrying my mother or my daughter or whoever.
But he knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah. So maybe it's worth appointing him because the country will benefit for it. Where's the argument for this guy?
I mean, as far as a benefit to the country and the Defense Department and our servicemen and women.
What does he offer that justifies taking somebody with these clear issues?
Trump loyalty.
But surely couldn't you find that in somebody who was, because he found loyalty to at least a degree. And I'm going to backtrack on what I'm saying here, because he found loyalty in the first administration, but he also had situations like Was it Mark Meadows who told him that he wouldn't? Basically, they wouldn't shoot the protesters in Lafayette Square.
Yeah, Mark Meadows did.
So what I'm saying is, you had people like Meadows and Sessions who pushed back on him in that first.
And Trump didn't like that.
He didn't. Cost them their jobs.
Now those guardrails are gone, and everyone that pushed back on him to try to maintain the normality and decency in America, they're gone.
So I guess is that the litmus test? This was the guy that fits the look that Trump wants, that said, yes, mein Führer, whatever you want, right?
If I say jump, you say how high.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we think that's the calculation that got him there?
I think so. There's a lot of my gut feeling with this incoming administration is that it's a group of people that are going to try to take as much money from the American people as possible.
It's about getting paid.
It's about getting paid. It's about getting a position of power and getting a check.
The first Trump campaign in 2016 wasn't about winning the election. He sort of backed into that.
It was a marketing ploy.
Gun to his head, did he ever think he would win the election? Even on election night, did he think he would win? I think the answer's got to be no. But he does. But like you said, the whole thing was a marketing ploy. It made him millions and millions and millions of dollars, win, lose, or draw. And then, oh, wow, I wind up the most powerful man in the world.
But, it shows how traditional politics have disgusted Americans. Even now, Biden didn't do enough to help out the average American. He didn't. The Democrats didn't. They rejected their populist origins, FDR, New Deal, all that. They've turned their backs on that. And then people voted for Trump because, if they're going to keep treating me like this, I'll just throw a grenade in the mix and see what the hell happens, because that's going to be a little bit better than what's happening.
The issue is that Wall Street has always controlled the Republicans. Always.
Yeah, but now they control the Democrats.
Now they control the Democrats. So, and then Trump comes along, and that's the thing that just gets me about his popular appeal that I do not understand. The swamp these days is not D.C. establishment. It's not these like Ivy League, Harvard, Yale law educated people that it's always been that run for president. The swamp now is Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It's the billionaires that finance campaigns, that buy the airwaves, that influence thought. That's the swamp now. And so if you want to talk about that, Trump's the swampiest candidate to ever run, and he's managed to convince people that he, a true, honest-to-God, bona fide billionaire at this point, is somehow the champion for the poor man.
He
like, who's he hanging out with this week?
This week, President-elect Donald Trump came out with a new crypto coin.
He's selling steaks. He's selling watches. I mean, it's all a hustle.
Mark Cuban said it the best. He goes, if he was truly a millionaire, he wouldn't be engaged in, Trump steaks or, if you've got money, you're in bigger deals than Trump ties. It's.
So I think he's got money. Especially since, do I think he was a billionaire when he won the presidency in 2016?
No.
Hell no.
No.
Is he now?
Yes.
You bet your ass he is.
Yeah.
Several times over, if I had to guess.
His, Jared Kushner and Ivanka got, I think,
$2 billion from the Saudis.
The Saudis, yeah. That was a nice transactional deal. But
I mean, I need $2 billion for a startup.
But in the hearing with Hegseth,
bringing it back,
trying to keep us on track here. They brought up his he kept talking about unverified smears, and he never really addressed they're verified, sure, there are court documents saying that all this stuff happened.
Well, his mom said he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and he was such a piece of shit. She felt the need to email him that he was a piece of shit and a disappointment to her.
But
I've done some shitty things, my friend.
Yeah.
I've never gotten like a thoughtfully written email from my mother telling me that I'm shitty and need to get it together.
But The issue is that he doesn't own up to his mistakes. He denies, it's
That's the Trump playbook, though.
yeah.
That's what he wants. That's what he respects. Never take responsibility, deny, deflect, take credit for anything good that happened.
Power through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plow forward, ignore it. Belittle and berate the people that disagree.
It takes
with you.
away any and all accountability for your actions.
It does.
And to have someone like that in charge of the biggest military in the world, or the most powerful, is frankly a little scary, because he's coming into a world where there's a Ukraine war,
Yeah.
there's a Gaza war,
Right.
China's getting aggressive with Taiwan and the Philippines. China may try to take a mad dash and yank some Russian territory. We've got a destabilized.
We got civil wars in Yemen, Sudan.
The Houthis are out of control. And we had all that on top of a potentially, a recession that may be coming, globally. So, and freaking climate change. You've got wildfires out in California that's going to lead to famine across the world. So you're going into a very, very dire part of human history, and we've got a drunk at the wheel. I don't know what he's going to do. And frankly, I'm a little concerned. My gut instinct says he won't last.
He'll get scapegoated.
He'll get scapegoated for something.
I have not heard an argument from anybody that's coherent that says we want this guy because he's qualified, because he's the right man for the job, because what we've heard is Trump has a popular mandate, Trump picked him. That's what we heard from Tuberville. He's been shouting that from the mountaintop.
Our esteemed Senator Thomas Tuberville.
Trump should get who he wants. War Eagle.
Don't put that on Auburn. Do not put that on Auburn. That catfish salesman from Florida. One, he was holding federal relief for California hostage this week for the wildfires. And I was like, that's just not how people should behave. If people are hurting, you help them.
I agree. No matter who they are.
Even if they're your political enemies, if they're out there suffering, you do what you can to help them. You don't hold a gun to their head.
But General, they withheld aid in North Carolina and Florida from Republicans. Yeah, shut up.
Well, if it becomes a tit for tat between red and blue states, it's going to be a huge problem.
Those people got canned, removed, hammered. Yeah. And it was immediately reported and rectified. This is very different than institutionalized, intentional mass withholding of aid. And
California is not a state you want to pick a fight with.
It's not. It's like, what, the fourth largest economy in the world?
Yeah. I think it's about, over 50% of America's GDP. If they decide to withhold their, funding of federal government, that's a problem. So.
Oh, but Meta's relocating.
Yeah. But yeah, we got a Secretary of Defense stepping into this new world of chaos. And it's going to be chaos for 4 years because that's what Trump thrives with. And, the Senate's going to confirm him because they have no spine and they will just greenlight anybody that Trump wants to be in his cabinet. At one point, the Senate was like the reasonable people in the room. They were supposed to
be less populist, less behold, sort of like the adults.
Yeah, they were supposed to. Okay, let's slow it down. Let's take let's do some reasonable stuff here. That has gone out the window. If they approve all of these Trump picks who are grossly underqualified, you're looking at a mismanaged cabinet that's literally there to do what Trump says and to make him money. And that's not America. That's not America.
I'm not willing to say that all of Trump's cabinet picks aren't qualified. Like, for example, Pam Bondi is qualified. I hate her.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I hate her, but she's qualified.
Yeah, but Linda McMahon's not qualified.
Exactly. Dr. Oz is not qualified. Hegseth is not qualified. Tulsi effing Gabbard is not only not qualified,
man.
she's a threat.
traitor.
She's a threat to national security.
RFK, brainworms himself. Like,
Captain Brainworm.
I don't mind if you have a difference of opinion on vaccines. People should be skeptical. But when you constantly believe unverified scientific data and promote lies, that's an issue. That's a problem.
He has a brainworm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to say anything else about RFK. It's because that's what he wants. Every time you mention his name, he gets stronger.
Well, I'm going to throw a curveball at you here, Judge.
It's like Roe Jogan, you know.
Well, I'm going to go. Do you think we're going to get UFO disclosure with this new cabinet of wild cards?
I honest to God, I think everything to be disclosed has already been disclosed.
What about those UFOs flying over New Jersey?
Those hobby drone / passenger aircraft.
Seems a little weird to me.
Yeah. So,
well, moving on from the Secretary of Defense hearing. Are you want to continue on it?
I just want to leave it with this.
Okay.
He's not qualified. There's no coherent argument that he is. Nobody's put forth a coherent argument on why this guy. And until someone supplies us with a plausible explanation for like a different reason, the reason he's there is he better enables Trump corruption. We need,
from speaking as an Alabamian, we have so many defense contracts in Huntsville and, our military bases in this state. We need someone qualified to make sure those jobs stay in Alabama. I got a gut feeling they're going to start throwing a lot of money to these tech bros in Texas and Florida, and wherever else there's low taxes. But that's my gut feeling on this cabinet. Anything else, Judge?
That's it from me, General.
All right. Have a good night.